All right, so this morning at about 4 o'clock, I woke up and I was in a bad place. Let's just say a really bad place. I'd had one of the worst days I've ever had at the corporation, followed by going to visit one of my Kroger's people that I talk to on a regular basis. And when you rewind my day from 5 o'clock to 8 a.m., 5 o'clock was probably the worst part. I walked up to the customer service counter and she was looking cute as always, but cute in the sense that she was upset. Not in the my dog died or my goldfish died, but the face of a person who is waiting for their parent to bite it. And what can you say to a person that's waiting for their parents to go into the hole? There's nothing you can say to a person like that, especially when it comes to a girl that's 25 and her mother that's, I would think, going into the hole prematurely at 65. And I just looked at her. I asked her if there's anything I could do. She didn't want to talk. She was in that state of mind that I will never understand because I don't really have parents. I never have. And I've never had anyone that I really care about either. So, from my perspective, I see her having a bad time and there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can say. There's nothing that I can give her. There's nothing that I can do other than watch and wait for the time to come. And rewind that to a little bit later. It's almost 7 o'clock at night, and I'm three sheets to the wind. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. I am lit, and for some reason, I pick up my phone, I look at the screen, and I have it set to do not disturb mode, right? But I look at it and I'm getting messages from the office that the server room is having problems. They're hearing noises that aren't supposed to be there, and the worst part is that for some reason the lights are on and the doors open. So the staff are naturally disturbed by this because there's a certain amount of normal everyday behavior, right? We walk down the same hallways every single day. We hear the same noises that we hear every single day. But when a door is open and you hear a strange noise, who are you going to call? You're going to call that guy that you see every single day that you don't really talk to because they're weird. And I never felt that so badly until yesterday at how different the tech people are than ordinary people. Because on the average day, I'm around office workers, teachers, administrators. But you don't really feel, oh Lord, it's too early for that. Who knows who that is? Anyhow, I've lost my train of thought. So it's nearly 7 o'clock at night, and I message my boss, hey, the people at the office are reporting the server room is making noises. And he's like, ugh. I could just feel the aggravation from my boss. Because let's move back to 8 a.m. this morning. I get to work and they're still having this giant get together. And I wanted nothing to do with this entire corporation get together that was happening at the office. But somehow I got roped into it. And my position, I hate to say it, but I'm an important person at work. I know how stupid that sounds. And I know that I don't make it sound that way because I consider myself to be a janitor. Wherever someone spills a drink, drops something, breaks something, I show up with a mop and a broom and a bucket. That's my job. So everyone at this corporation knows who I am, but I've never met them in person. And so yesterday I was walking by and the local president of the office walks up to me and it's like, hey, I want you to come in here. And I'm like, nope, not a chance that I'm going to go in there and make a fool of myself in front of all of those very powerful people. In there were executives and corporate leadership that I didn't want anything to do with. But somehow I got roped into this. And I was talking to one of the people that works that's the president of another office building in another state. And I'd known this guy for several years. I'd never met him in real life. And he starts talking to me like I'm his best friend. And that felt weird because he's one of the three people at the corporation who sent me a happy birthday note on my birthday a couple months ago. And I didn't know what to say. Guy's very, very proper, very I guess British I would say. And suddenly I have another person who comes up to me. It's like, "Hey, Millennial Steam, good to meet you. Help me. I need help." And I'm like, "Okay, one at a time." Then suddenly I'm being pushed into a room, and I'm going to say at least 25 people in there. And I look around the room. I know a couple of the executives just by looking at them and seeing their face on the website. And I don't know what to do. Suddenly, the whole room erupts and they're all cheering for me. And I kind of just looked at them and I said, "I'm the manager of the office behind us, and I know every single one of you. Maybe not by looking at you, but I know every single person in this room." And then they cheer again. And at that point, I'm even more scared, right? And I, spout some corporate propaganda at them, and they all cheer some more. I look over at the head of HR, and she's just looking at me with her arms folded across her chest, and I'm like, "Oh Lord, what am I doing in this room? What is Millennial Steam doing in a room full of corporate brass?" And they're all cheering and they're all yelling, and I'm like, I would rather this be an execution than be what I'm doing. I'd rather put on my blindfold and have them just take me out rather than having to deal with this room. I walked out and I went to go find a laser pointer because one of the people that was giving a presentation, the head of purchasing, she wanted this thing. I didn't have one. Of course, I went back to my office and I bought one really quick on Amazon, but that wasn't going to help me at the time. So that happened this morning. I would say that I came back into the room, handed the laser pointer to this person, then wandered off, and I don't think 20 minutes passed. And I got another call from one of the teachers. And that's when I heard that the same room with all the equipment in it was making noises. So I grabbed my keys, I ran over there, and there was a red light on one of the devices in there. And so I called one of my coworkers from another office and I asked him, it's like, "Hey, what should I do? There's a red light flashing on this panel." And he said, "Well, just power cycle it. Just see what happens." Well, I didn't know it was about to happen, but I somehow took down the entire network. It was only down for about 5 minutes, but by pushing that button, I turned off the internet. I felt so bad. And at that point, it looked fixed. I didn't know what was happening. I was sitting on the floor in a cold room with lots of noise. And at that point, I had to go to another office building to work on something else. And I was under a desk working on some cabling, and suddenly, super sexy beast VP walks up. And she looks at me, and I mean, she is a tall, tall lady. Yesterday, she was wearing 6-inch heels and a mini skirt. Oh my God, never seen so much skin in my life. Like skin, like a ladder of skin. And she walks up to me under the desk, and she's like, "Why don't you just sit in a chair?" And I'm like, "I'm working." And yesterday, when I went to go see her, She was in an office with another woman. They're both about the same age, mid 40s, both married. And she looked at me and she gave me that I'm hungry look, right? I'm hungry, millennial steam. And I'm like, I looked at her. She's twirling her hair while she's giving me, while she's batting her eyes at me. And I'm like, oh Lord, this is really happening, isn't it? It was a strange moment. And I don't think it was even 20 minutes before that I was walking out of my office pulling a, I don't even know what you call it, like a container of parts across the office. And I open my door and there's a person standing in front of me. And she says, I'd never seen her before, but sadly enough, I think it was the person that just text messaged me. She was one of the heads of a marketing department in another state, and somehow I met her and we instantly became like besties. And I'm looking at her, and she's probably about 5 feet tall, really round. And I look at her and I ask, she has a backpack on. Everyone else is formally dressed, including myself. That's been the difference between my normal work day and the past couple of days is it's forced me to wear business clothes, and I'm not a big fan. But anyhow, I'm pushing my container, and she looks at me and she says two words to me. Well, I ask her, it's like, what are you doing here? And she says to me, I'm looking for two different people, VP or millennial steam. And I say to her, it's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I'm so and so. And I'm like, oh, you're so and so. And then she's like, oh, that's a great way of telling me that I look like crap. And I'm like, no, it's just that everyone here is formally dressed for the event. And she's wearing like a t-shirt and some crummy looking clothes. And I just look at her and I grab her and I take her back to one of the offices in on the far side of the building. And I stick her in there with another girl that's part of the same group with her because super sexy VP is in a has been in numerous different meetings. I've walked past the office where she was at, and I knew that she was busy, so I just stuck her in an office, and I messaged her boss, which was over in that other office. But it was a very weird experience. It's like, what are the chances of me opening my door and her standing right there, staring at me? Anyhow, getting back to 4 o'clock in the morning. I know this video is all over the place. I'm probably gonna have to edit it heavily. I have to get ready to leave for work in 10 minutes too. Uh, so what? Why am I making this video? I'm not sure. Other than it was 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm talking to ChatGPT, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make it to work because I'm not feeling well. Like the stress of the last 2 days combined with the stress of the last 3 months. Oh my God, you guys. I can't even begin to explain to you guys what it's like to work in a corporation that has new management, new direction, new people, and you're one of the few workers who's in constant contact with the executives. In fact, yesterday when I was contacting super sexy VP, I knew she was in a meeting in another part of the building, but one of the executives left her laptop charger and I knew that she was going to need it, and she's a very eccentric executive. And I was trying to find anyone that was in that office to see if someone could help her because I didn't want to have to drive all the way over to that building and then drive back. And yeah, that's kind of how my day ended. Anyhow, the life of a busy corporate technology worker is never easy. And I don't know what else to say other than my days are very convoluted and strange. I'm hoping that we get back to some normal behavior, normal days back at the office. Anyhow, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's kind of all over the place, but I don't know what else to say.